What's rated?
I've never seen a nicer application. And they seem to be doing everything super above board.
Well, the last time we had a tattoo shop in town, people went freak.
People went what?
They went freak.
How long ago was, I don't even remember that.
Late 2000, late,
Really?
like 2007 maybe? Or
must
maybe
not have
earlier,
been
it was earlier than that.
It's all the sugar I'm eating.
It's been a while, it's been a long time. You remember when it was on Bluebird?
Oh, I do remember. I remember.
We're ready. 7:31.
All right. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Village Planning Commission of Almont for April 3rd, 2025. To order, please. May I have a roll call?
Tedeschi,
Here.
Meek,
Here.
Zender,
Here.
Dyke,
Present.
Miller,
Present.
Keller,
Here.
Schneider.
We are all here. Communications. Not very big crowd. Does anybody have anything for us? No? Nothing specific? Okay, we'll move on. Next item is the approval of the agenda. Unless there are any changes or alterations or corrections, I ask for approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
I have a move by Steve.
Second.
Glenn did the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. The next item is the approval of the minutes of our regular meeting of December 5th, 2024. Kim, I had one note. I actually found one.
Oh,
On the recommendation for appointment at the bottom of the page,
yes,
where it says the planning commission has to, should the word be in there? Be?
yes, yes.
I think that's what I want to find. Just grammatically.
Great.
Did you find it?
I'm on over Steve. Is this a first?
Right?
I just thought I'd need him to. If there are no other changes or corrections to the minutes, I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have moved by Ken.
Second.
Second by Glenn. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Public comments tonight? We have none. Public hearing? We don't have any. So we can move on to new business. Kim was kind enough to write for us in her paragraph. At April's meeting, we always elect officers for the coming year, and we have 3 positions to fill. The chairman, the vice chairman, and the secretary. So, again, I'll reiterate, if anybody's interested in the chairmanship, you're more than welcome to that.
I'll nominate Tom as the chairman.
Yeah.
I'll second that. I'll second that.
Are there any other nominations? If not, I'll close the nominations for chairperson. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you very much. The next position is that of vice chair.
I'll nominate Glenn.
Do I have a second on the nomination? Robert seconded. Is there any other nominations for vice chair? I'll close the nominations and ask for a vote of the vice chair position. Can I have a vote?
Aye.
I'm sorry, all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
See, he's doing it, yeah.
The hardest one we hit.
Third position is that of secretary. Nominations are open for secretary.
Nominate Gary.
Second.
I have Tim nominating, seconded for Gary. Are there any other nominations? The nominations are closed. I move for approval for Gary as being secretary. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations. The next item on the agenda is a change of use for 134 North Main. We don't have either of the people named in this here tonight. They presented a business plan to us, of which I had read. I do have some numerous questions. I don't know whether or not anybody can answer them or not.
I'd like to know why it's a change of use.
Yeah, can I ask you a question? One of the questions I have is, what was the use of this facility before? If we're making a change of use, what was its use categorized before?
What are we changing?
Because
Okay, what are we changing
It was
it
retail.
from?
It was the shirt hanger.
Yeah, the t-shirt place was in
Yeah.
there.
what Caitlin says in her letter, that there's no, that meets the requirement of the current.
Right.
So if it meets the requirement, why are we discussing?
Well, that was one of my questions, is because in the presentation from the respective people, nobody mentioned, or there was no mention of what the use was before, and what are we changing it from to?
Because she states in her letter, the planning commission, in evaluation of the change in use, should keep in mind if the proposed use meets all the requirements of the zoning ordinance, personal services establishments are permitted by right in C1 zoning district with no additional design requirements.
Right. So my question is, again, can anybody answer, what are we changing it from to? If we in fact have to make a change in use, what are we changing it from to? Dale?
I believe that you are, Mr. Chairman, I believe you're changing it from a retail use to a personal services use. So it's near a medical use. It can be nails or, as mentioned, things that are related to the body. It was retail sales before.
Okay.
So if it meets, but if that can be used within the commercial, anytime a different type of business comes in here, they have to come before this commission.
Change of uses should occur anytime the type or form of the business changes.
The use of that building has been constantly changing over the years. It was a law office, and most of the businesses that had been located in that building were in fact personal services. So for a very short period of time, they sold t-shirts out there. And that would require us to, if we're to actually come before us, it makes absolutely no sense.
Well, the other thing, pardon me, Steve, the item right below that on this list is retail establishment, which is also permitted under C1 and C2. So if that was a permitted use under C1 and C2, then personal service establishment is C1, is under C1, C2, and O1 is also permitted. Why are we doing a change in use? Would be my question.
There's, all those things are allowed in C, commercial 1. The use in the building is changing. So there may be, as was listed, and I would suggest in your motion, you ask that or approve that the new business, the new use, provide their license annually to the village. The retail establishment didn't need a license to operate with the health department or anything like that.
But it would have needed a sales license, right? For retail.
We don't have a business license in the city. So an EN number, I don't know about that, if that would qualify, but, because every business has that. So, we're changing the use. There may be, and again, Almont doesn't go this deeply into it, but there should be a inspection by the building official to make sure that it meets all current fire codes. If there is, in this type of use, special access or a 3-compartment sink, something like that was needed, the inspection arm of the village would be checking on that under this particular use.
And also the fire marshal.
Yes, exactly.
C of O, basically.
Yeah, he'd have to meet all the requirements before he would get a certificate of occupancy, correct?
Should be the case, including, as you mentioned, an Knox box on the building in case of a fire.
And I raised, I made a whole list of questions as I was reading through it. Now, one thing I was looking at, is this a different design than what's currently in the building now? And if it's gonna require renovations, is there anything specific he has to do, or is he allowed to do all this within the confines of the building? Because the building, the way I've calculated these calculations is less than 1,000 square feet, I think, in total, based on these drawings. But it would appear he's dividing up the building different than whatever it used to be. Now, is that going to require any type of a site plan of any kind or not?
Again, I would have a comment.
And he's going to have,
Yeah.
have to get a construction
Right.
permit, which would be overseen, I'm assuming, by. So that was another question I had. Another one I had is he changing any of the outside appearance? I don't know if he is or not. And then parking questions, which Caitlin raises in here, is with the coffee shop right next door, Main Street is parked up. I mean, it always is, and then the overflow is into the parking lot where the mailboxes are.
And that's private.
Pardon?
That's private.
And it is, yeah. So what are his parking, where are people gonna park to get into his business? And then I have another question is, I was looking at his competitors, which is making a comparison. Nobody was close.
No, they're-
I mean, they are so far away. Is there nobody in Lapeer or anywhere around that competes with these people? I'm just throwing these out because they're not here to address it. And then I had, the hours of operation. When are they gonna, what days of the week are they gonna operate, from what time to what time? And then how many stations do they plan, how many?
It says two.
Just two?
Yeah,
Two
it
stations?
says two in this application.
I see 6 and 3.
Well, he's got a description in there, but it says only two chairs.
Okay, well, the 2 chairs.
Yeah, one's the
So,
bathroom.
all the questions that Tom raised,
These are just mine. I don't know if any of the members have any other questions, but these happen to be mine after reading through this business plan. He tried very hard to keep us informed, but it raised a couple things.
with all these questions that Tom is raising, and the party that is seeking approval, which I absolutely not think is necessary, or even should be before us, I would move that we table this until the party that actually is intending to do this can attend the meeting. Because there's no one here to answer all the questions that Tom is raising. He's totally appropriate to move forward in this.
In fact, he has $10,000 in for renovations. My question is what kind, and does it require a site plan if he's making changes? I'm curious, I don't know. Then he said he's gonna develop a strong social media presence. I'm curious, how is he gonna do that? I just really had a lot of questions in relation to that. I'm not necessarily opposed to the business, but I had a lot of questions in relation to the business plan. And so, I'm open to any other discussion from any of the other members, but that's what I came up with.
I was in there when it was a t-shirt place, and as I remember, that was not the layout of it.
I didn't think it would be.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty wide open with just one back here, so it would appear that there's gonna have to be some construction.
Well, he put in his budget, he put $10,000.
Right.
For renovations.
Well, we
My
need
question is-
we need clarification either from the zoning administrator or our planner, what constitutes site plan and what constitutes not, because like Senor Victor bought Huddle, but I don't ever remember them coming before us.
They didn't.
I know that, we've been in discussions with the salary person, for inside renovations. That doesn't come before us. So if he's only doing inside renovations, I don't think it would come before us, but if it's outside renovations, does it then come before us because of the?
But it would have been nice to get some.
No, I totally agree.
In these questions, and that's my difficulty. Yes, David, sorry.
My comments to all of your questions are, they're good questions. And the applicant, of course, he's looking for approval, but those are all building official, building department, and CCA in the village would be watching the work that goes on inside. The fire marshal would have to check and make sure that the changes didn't interfere with ingress and egress on the inside of the building. But Caitlin was clear to say that there is adequate parking in the public parking behind the building, as well as there's some spaces out front. That is the kind of thing, anything that would change parking, the facade, those are site plan items that would end up coming to the planning commission for approval, but there's nothing like that here. It's just, Mr. Snyder said, it's on the fence whether it's even something that you need to approve for it to go forward.
Right.
So I think you would take the opportunity, as I said, to take a bite at the apple and include some regulation, like reminding in their use that they have to provide their license annually to the village. Failure to do so could cause them to be closed down, little things like that, but
Caitlin mentioned the same thing, especially the one from the Michigan Department of Health. She
yes.
mentions that right in her paragraph, the one paragraph, that they have to have that license, otherwise they can't.
But as far as the layout inside the building, what changes, construction he's gonna do, that would end up in the hands of our building official, CCA, to inspect and ensure everything is safe and good before it's open, just like they did at Senior Victor's. They had to have a occupancy permit before they could move forward, so.
Now, let me ask you, was that also the way the businesses changed right across the street? Because we had the flower shop in there, and the flower shop left, and then another business moved in. That did not require a change of use either, correct?
Went from retail to retail,
So it was
and
retail-
they did virtually nothing on the inside of the building. They polished the floor, I think, so.
Yeah, but that raises the next question, because it says in what Kim highlighted, section 702, submission requirements, site plan shall be submitted for review by the approval of the planning commission whenever, and she highlights, for substantial change of use or class referred to by the zoning administrator. So are we saying if we're approving this change of use, they need to have a site plan, and does this, what they gave us, constitute as an acceptable site plan for change of use, would be my question.
Well, that's a very good question. That's an excellent question.
That's what I don't understand. Because if we're not doing that, then if that's the requirement, then what is the required site plan? Because Caitlin's saying all they need to do is verify parking. So, which is in direct.
May I ask, was Caitlin given their whole business plan, including the map and everything? In order for her to.
I believe she did review the entire packet.
She reviewed that. Okay.
It's not a special land use. It's a change in use.
Well, no, it says this, the submission requirements. of
Section
site plan
D says
shall be
substantial
submitted
change of use
and
in
then
class.
these are the- If one or more of the following.
But if it's under our commercial class, the personal service establishment that is identified here is right next, or in fact, it's the next, it's one right before retail establishments. If that was what was in there before, do we even have to approve a change in use?
That depends on what the definition of class means in section D. Is class commercial to office or retail or whatever the other classes are, or is class a subsection of one of the main outlets?
Well, it's in the commercial,
So it's in
Zoning.
commercial, so is commercial zoning a class, or is, automobile gas stations, automobile repair services, hotels, motels, are they the class? So is
I
residential,
would say.
you know what I'm asking? So is RM01, C1, C2 PUD the classes, or is the,
Those are the zoning districts.
so those are the districts,
Those are the districts.
so all these other listings would be the classes?
Well, that's why, Tim, if you look at between the one that says personal service establishment, the P means it's permitted under the O1, C1, C2.
No,
The one right below it is retail establishments, if that's what that building was before. It's also permitted under C1 and C2. So,
right, so
is there really a change in use?
that's what we need to determine, and we need to interpret if for any substantial change in use of class when referred to by the zoning administrator, it's a substantial change as defined as change from one use or category listed in this ordinance to separately listed use or category. Which if you interpreted that, then the category, then you have to say, what is a category? I don't, maybe we haven't had many, but, maybe we haven't had many, but I don't remember ever having a change of class come before us before.
I don't remember one. Not a change in class.
Or a change in category.
Or is the class considered everything under commercial? The whole list?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think if there has
Because
been a major change in,
if
use.
commercial class is a class all by itself, then we would follow whatever's permitted, whatever's a special land use and go within that class, because they all fall under commercial. Then a change in use, in my estimation, wouldn't be necessary. They both fall under commercial, they both have a P, which means they've been permitted under those two categories. Why would we do change in use?
well, because each line is a use. So there's automobile repair and service center is a use. Automobile heavy repair garages is a use. So,
Okay, but then we get back to Tim's question, which is the class.
right.
Are we under the class of commercial, the big umbrella under commercial? And if we are, does that mean then we follow this for whatever falls under that class?
Yes, so you're in a class, you're changing the use in that building. I've learned an interesting lesson that I told Caitlin, I thought this was pretty clear. No need for her to come to this meeting.
I'm sorry.
She'll come to every meeting.
I just, those happen to be my questions when I was reading through this, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't hit me right. So that's why I thought we had a discussion tonight. I was hoping, somebody would bring it.
My impression of it is it's more of just a clerical thing, is how it's going to be used. In as much as it's listed as permitted, then there's really, we're not changing anything. So it's just, I mean, I don't think it requires us to say, it's just a clerical thing saying it's no longer retail, it's personal service.
I think we have enough questions that we can't take an action tonight, number one, even though I don't want to delay these people. Two, maybe we don't have to delay them if we can take these questions back to Caitlin and she could clarify it to see if this board does need to take action. If we do need to take action, then bring it back in May. If it doesn't need to take action, then they can proceed.
So many of the issues raised are such questions that should be answered again.
Well, it seems like,
It was
well,
interesting that as well written this was as far as the topics discussed. She never really said, we're under the commercial class. You really don't need to do a change of use. She's addressing it as if, yeah, we do need to do a change of use. Just be careful of the parking. That's the issue, the only issue she really flagged in this. So, just interpreting, you can read through this, she's interpreting this as a change of use, even though it falls under the same class of both the old use and the new use. I don't,
Do we have authority to find that there's no change of use required under the circumstances presented? And that,
as a board member, I don't feel I have the knowledge to make that decision. So if you guys vote on it, I'll either vote no or abstain, because
so what,
No.
I mean, is it, do we just?
You made the suggestion.
What's their timeframe? You know?
It does not appear that there is a huge rush. This is probably the third time we've talked to them in as many months. So I know that the landlord would like to get them in because the rent starts the minute they get moving,
Yes.
but
quite some time, although I will say that Mr. Toth is not, getting scrub floors to continue this existence. He's rather wealthy.
If the members, we all decide we can wait another month, are you pretty clear on what questions we would need to ask Caitlin?
sure,
So we could get answers to those and then resurrect us again next month?
Right.
And then maybe with that, we could then move forward, if that's acceptable to all the members, that seems clear. So do you need we need a motion then to table this item until, May's meeting?
it was the
Consensus.
Consensus? Do I have a consensus from all the members? Yes, we do.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean we don't want it, it just raises some, I had some questions, so if I did, I don't know if any other members do, but I just thought I would, be nice to talk to the people that are gonna be operating the business. So, all right, we will table that item until,
Regulation.
yeah. Or, we discussed both. Maybe we don't have, maybe it's not an issue, we don't have the authority, or we do have the authority and we're just not quite clear what our authority is. So, I mean, that's just, it's worth getting a little clarification. All right, unfinished business. Don't think we have any tonight. Anybody have anything for the good of the group, since we haven't met in 4 months?
I've missed you guys.
Dale, may I ask, and I'm sure the village has been up to date, but, the utility work going on probably all over the village, but I know now they're on Kidder Road. Is everything going underground with the new utility?
not 100% of it. I would say it's 80-20, 80% will be underground. And it's Frontier, they're installing fiber optics and expanding their footprint and the quality of their infrastructure.
Okay.
And they are all over town.
Yeah, they are. In fact, they marked all the utilities in front of our house and all of them down here. I'm just wondering, I see where they started, they're on the township side. I think part of the trenching is being done. Will they move over to the village side or will they stay on the township side?
Well, the only time they would move over is if they have to
Come on.
come up. So I haven't looked that closely at the plans, but they tend to trench, come out, up on the pole when they need to. Otherwise, they stay underground and inland.
Okay. Anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Support. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carried.